What's up guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Breaking news, if 2020 couldn't get any crazier, it has now. The legendary investor Warren Buffett has slashed his stakes in the banks and actually bought a gold miner, Barrick Gold. Warren Buffett is famous for being bearish on gold, so this news is a complete U-turn.
Broader example than that, if you buy an ounce of gold today and you hold it 100 years, you can go to it every day and you can coo to it and you can caress it and you can fondle it and 100 years from now you'll have 1 ounce of gold and it won't have done anything for you in between. If you buy 100 acres of farmland, it will produce for you every year. You can use that money to buy more farmland. You can do it all kinds of things. For 100 years, it'll produce things for you, and you still have 100 acres of farmland at the end of the 100 years. You could buy the Dow Jones Industrial Average for 66 at the start of 1900. Gold was then $20. At the end, it was 11,400, but you'd all gotten dividends for 100 years. So a productive asset of any kind, a decent productive asset, is going to kill a non-productive asset over time. Now, in any given 1-year period, 5-year period, any asset can outperform another asset.
Previous quotes by Buffett on gold include, "Gold gets dug out of the ground in Africa or someplace, then we melt it down, dig another hole, bury it again, and pay people to stand around guarding it. It has no utility. Anyone watching from Mars will be scratching their head." Another famous quote by Buffett is, "Gold is a way of going long on fear. It has been a pretty good way of going long on fear from time to time. We really have to hope people become more afraid in a year or 2 years than they are now. If they become more afraid, you make money. If they become less afraid, you lose money. But gold itself doesn't produce anything." So they're Buffett's own words, but now he's done a complete U-turn and invested into an even more risky asset, which is a gold miner. Now, I've done plenty of videos on gold and silver miners on this channel, and I told you guys we were coming to a bull market. So if you guys listened, you would have got in on some of these gold and silver miners. Now, they are risky companies, especially the small caps, so I would be very cautious around them. However, the larger cap companies such as Barrick Gold, which Buffett has invested into, are a lot more diversified and safer. So in this video, we're going to go over the details in this filing, exactly what stake Buffett has in Barrick Gold, and what positions he slashed in the banks. Without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome back guys to Motivation to Invest. Before we get started, it would really mean a lot to me if you guys can give this video a big thumbs up. That helps out the YouTube algorithm, which allows me to create more great content like this for you guys. In addition, if you want more investing tips and exclusive stock picks, which I personally am investing into, then you should definitely subscribe to this channel and turn that notification bell on. With that being said, let's get into the video. So how did I find out this information? Well, I found out by reading the 13F filing for Berkshire Hathaway for the period ending June 30th. What is a 13F? 13F is a quarterly report required to be filed by all institutional investment managers with at least $100 million in assets under management. It discloses their equity holdings and can provide insights into what the smart money is doing in the market. Buffett's traditional investment philosophy is to buy low and sell high and invest for the long term. However, in 2020, he's been completely contrary to his normal characteristics. He's been buying low, selling lower, and just selling everything. He's sold many banks, he sold Goldman Sachs, and now this time he's slashed his stakes in the banks even more. Right guys, so diving into the US Securities and Exchange Commission, we can see the form 13F for Berkshire Hathaway. Now if we scroll down, his shares of Apple are unchanged in this last quarter. However, we do see this new addition, Barrick Gold Corporation. So we can see the number of shares there and the details here. And now if I dive into this article by Market Watch, Buffett's Berkshire buys gold miner Barrick, slashes Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, dumps Goldman stake amid the global health crisis. So Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway unloaded more than a quarter of his stake in Wells Fargo and about 61% of his position in JP Morgan, while acquiring a new position in Barrick Gold Corporation. According to the 13F filings for the period ending June 30th. So any time in that last quarter from the start of it to June 30th, Buffett could have made this purchase via Berkshire Hathaway. This info was released on Friday afternoon, so that'd be the 14th of August. I'm making this video and it'll be out today on the 15th, so we're a few hours behind, but we're really on the ball here. Berkshire sold 85.6 million shares of Wells Fargo, representing 26% of his stake, putting its ownership to about 3% from 5.3%. Berkshire also sold 61% of his position in JP Morgan, which now represents 1% of Berkshire's portfolio. Meanwhile, the investment firm acquired nearly 21 million shares of Barrick Gold, worth an estimated $563 million. So yeah, that's over $500 million Buffett has invested into Barrick Gold, which is one of the largest market cap gold miners, and it is heavily diversified. Now this now represents 0.3% of Berkshire's holding. Berkshire also reduced its holding in PNC Financial Services, selling 3.85 million shares, cutting his position to 0.3% from 0.5%. They boosted their stake in the grocery chain Kroger by 15%, purchasing 3 million shares. Report also showed Buffett dumped its entire stakes in Goldman Sachs, so he's really gone anti-banks. He's dumped Goldman Sachs and bought a gold miner. Occidental Petroleum, he's dumped them. And of course, all the airlines which he dumped previously. But yeah, this has been so fascinating to watch Buffett do this, because it's completely contradictory to his normal style of investing. Buffett never sells at the bottom, but in 2020, he's been selling right at the bottom, especially for banks. Like, even just give it a couple of years, a lot of those will recover and they can make a nice, healthy profit. But he has his reasons, and he is one of the greatest investors of all time. So Buffett has always been bullish on banks and bearish on gold. But in 2020, he's flipped that around. He's now bearish on banks and sold off a lot of his holdings at a loss. And now he's bullish on gold, and especially gold miners, which is even more surprising. Now, I've got one theory on this, which could be a reason he's bought Barrick Gold, because he's not actually bought the physical gold element. So the reason for this may be, in fact, he's going back to his old investment philosophy, the Benjamin Graham style talked about in the book, The Intelligent Investor. This type of value investing looks for businesses which are priced lower than the assets they have on hand. So perhaps Barrick Gold has a lot of gold in the ground ready to be mined, which is actually more than the price of the shares. So maybe Buffett did get a deal. Now, I've said this earlier, Buffett was always very anti-gold, and he's made many quotes about it saying it doesn't produce anything, and a lot of them are very good points. However, he did purchase silver in the past. So let's dive into this article here on silver. So Warren Buffett actually bought 3,500 tons of silver in 1997. The purchase helped to make Thomas Kaplan a billionaire. And I remember during the same period, Bill Gates actually bought silver as well during the same period, possibly following Buffett's lead. I'm not sure, but they are good friends. So Warren Buffett's purchase of 3,500 tons of silver in 1997 helped his friend become a billionaire. After the silver bubble burst in the 1980s, the precious metal was plunging in price from $50 an ounce to below $10, and was widely dismissed as a bad investment. So in a way, his silver purchase was part of Buffett's traditional style, and that he was contrarian. He observed the masses and did the opposite. He spotted that the crowd was very negative towards silver during that time, and he went in and bought silver. Now, that is different to this time, because this time there is a lot of momentum behind precious metals. During times of economic uncertainty, and when governments are printing a lot of money, producing a lot of stimulus into the economy, Many investors do retreat to gold and silver, which is why we've seen gold actually break record highs of over $2,000 per ounce. So this isn't really a contrarian opinion to be investing in gold and silver at the moment. Maybe Buffett believes the economy won't recover as fast as some people think it will, or he's maybe just found a specific opportunity with this Barrick Gold. Looking at the details on Buffett's silver in the past, so Buffett took his position at $4 or $4.50, and silver ultimately went back to $50. So he made a big amount on that deal. That's what, 10x? He made 10x on that deal, Buffett's previous deal. That's why this Barrick Gold purchase is such a big thing, because if he'd made 10x previously on that silver deal, and Buffett's someone who hates precious metals generally, then this mining deal is very, very interesting. Let's see what Buffett is actually invested into. And I think I remember researching these guys on this channel. It might have even been on my top 5 gold mining stocks to buy in 2020. So I did list 5 stocks. I definitely researched this stock. So I'll go over it again for you guys. So Barrick Gold, it's one of the largest gold miners on the entire planet. They're heavily diversified. So the merger created a sector-leading gold company owned by 5 of the industry's top tier 1 gold assets. So it's more of a conglomerate of gold mining companies. Mines in North America, Latin America, Asia Pacific, Africa, and Middle East. Our vision is to be the world's most valued gold mining business by finding, developing, operating the best assets with the best people to deliver the best returns on a sustainable basis. Of course, we all know the usual. So this is the annual report for 2019. Our business at a glance. So this just shows you the difference. So they've got obviously mines here over in Alaska, I believe that is. And then they've got some here, sort of Canada, Nevada. So they're diversified across the Americas from what I can see here. So they've got a lot of mines down here in South America. So yeah, there's a lot of diversification here. They've even got some over here in Africa. So heavily diversified. So in a way, this is one of the safest gold miners to invest into. Some of these junior gold miners and silver miners, you do need to watch out for them, because they've got one mine which is not confirmed to even have gold, and then they hype it up, they create a big marketing video, all the investors invest into it, and then they say, oh, well, actually, there's not as much gold as before, or gold prices fall, and a lot of investors lose a lot of money. So if you're going to invest in them, be aware of that. You can still make a lot of money with those junior gold miners and silver miners, but they're a lot more risky. Miners such as Barrick, they're heavily diversified. So it's a little bit safer for you guys if you're investing into a dangerous, if you invest into a volatile company such as a gold or silver miner. So here's the 2019 highlights. Gold production was up 21%, 5.5 million ounces of gold. So you can times that by $2,000 an ounce, and you can see what type of value this company is actually producing. Net earnings up 357%. Debt net of cash, so that's down. Quarterly dividend per share up 133%. So this does pay a nice dividend, which is interesting for a mining stock. Adjusted net earnings per share up 46%. Net cash up 61%. Free cash flow up 210%. Share price up 78%. Now, this was all up in 2019 before we hit a global pandemic and the government started printing massive amounts of money to stimulate the economy. Now, so if they had such good numbers then even more better. Now, one thing that you have to look at with investing into gold and silver miners, and I mentioned this in my previous video, is the value of these miners are defined by, let's say, 3 main characteristics, the same as many cyclical asset companies. You've got supply, demand, and cost. Now, of course, you've got the supply of gold, the demand of gold, and the cost of gold. Now, that varies massively. So if there's an increase in demand and the supply is the same, price will increase. If there's an increase in supply and demand drops, then price will, say, decrease. Now, factor that you have to look at for all these miners is what's called the all-in sustaining cost. Now, that's the total cost of mining the gold, refining the gold and sending it to market that these miners have to undertake. So Barrick Gold has got 894 on their gold all-in sustaining cost. So what does that mean? Well, that means that basically anything over that is generally profit for the business. Now, I'm not taking into account taxes and a few extra charges, but let's say that's profit. So even if we round that up to say $1,000 on their all-in sustaining cost, generally I wouldn't invest into any miner who has above $1,000 in terms of the all-in sustaining cost. Look for $900 or less. So that's your all-in sustaining cost. So at today's gold price, around $2,000 per ounce, the company's making roughly $1,000 per ounce in profit. Now, as I mentioned here, 5.5 million ounces times $1,000 profit, and then you've got your net profit there. Of course, I'm not taking into account taxes. Let's dive into Stockopedia. So you guys will know on this channel, I use this platform to research stocks. I find it really helpful. I've actually got a 25% discount link just for you guys, exclusive to the viewers of Motivation to Invest. So if you want to check out this platform to research stocks, feel free, links below. Let's get into it. Barrick Gold, high flyer, large cap, stock rank 91, so looking good so far. Momentum 96, surging gold price, good momentum. Quality 86, value 43, not great value. It's not too far off from where Buffett potentially purchased it. So let's say here, see it's up already. Must be aftermarket trading according to this software. So as you can see here, revenue has been fairly steady over the past few years. It's actually been decreased overall by 1%. So this is a large cap. This isn't a 10x stock, but it is a stock that could give you healthy returns due to the rising gold price, and if the gold price continues to rise and it doesn't crash. Dividend, this is interesting. So dividend yield 0.7, 0.8%. So looking up to 1% dividend, which it's okay. It's better than nothing. Don't expect massive dividends from gold and silver miners, but still a 1% dividend. It's not bad. Now let's look at so revenues forecast to increase. Net income was actually forecasted to decrease for 2020 and 2021, which is interesting. So perhaps their margins are being squeezed. Earnings per share forecast to increase, which is a good sign. Diving into the analyst consensus, 5 hold, 8 buy, 4 a strong buy. So you've got people here from Credit Suisse, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and they all think it's a buy. Current ratio 3.82. Now that is fantastic. That's an incredible current ratio. So I've probably told you guys about the current ratio before. It's your short-term cash to your short-term liability, short-term debt. So basically, I look for a company which is above, say, 1.52. That means the company has enough cash on hand to cover its debts at least twice. This has got a 3.82, which means it has plenty of cash to weather any storm which may come. So that is a great sign to see. You don't really want to be investing into companies with very high debt levels, because should situations change, it can really have a negative effect on the bottom line. Price to book value 2.19, price to sales 4.26, PE 25.6. So yeah, that's Barrick Gold. It is an interesting company. There are plenty of these gold miners out there. So yeah, I've detailed them in my next videos. Overall, 2020 continues to surprise. Buffett not only sold all of his airlines, he's now sold major stakes in all of his banks. In addition, he's purchased a gold miner, which is completely contradictory to his past statements. Yes, he's not purchased a physical asset gold, but he's bought a gold miner, which are generally considered more risky, but can have higher rewards. Now, yes, this gold miner does pay a dividend, so maybe that adds a little bit of a cherry on top for Buffett. Now, if you guys are interested in gold and silver mining stocks, I have some previous videos on them, and I'll leave those in the link below. So what are your thoughts on Buffett's U-turn, and do you think gold is entering a new bull market? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll join in the discussion. Also, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. That really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, which allows me to create more great content like this for you guys. In addition, if you want more investing tips and exclusive stock picks, which I personally am investing into, then you should definitely subscribe to this channel and turn that notification bell on. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Invest safe.